We are back.
We are. And it was our first week of
Star Wars week.
Star Wars month.
Star Wars month, yeah.
Star Wars month. So,
believe it or not,
you got to scooch. You're kind of off the frame.
Do I need to go this way? Or this way? The camera's still backwards. We haven't figured. I think it's stuck that way.
Yeah, so we did not realize that there were 30 different Star Wars things that are in Disney's timeline. So we decided to go along, since Disney is the current owner of Star Wars, we decided to go with the Disney's suggested chronological timeline for watching the Star Wars movies. Because honestly, we had no idea where to start.
Let us know in the comments whether or not there are more Marvel movies or Star Wars movies, because there seem to be a bunch of both.
There is. And we probably will not get through all of the Star Wars things. For instance, some of them are series, and the animated series weren't all that interesting for us. So we've decided we're going to watch the pilot for those, and probably not all of the series, because we wouldn't have time to watch each and every episode of 6 seasons of 25 minutes an episode.
Yeah, it's really hard to get into the series, especially because, I'm sorry, the animated ones, I don't know, they seem more tailored to kids, perhaps?
That, and it's pretty much the same story we're seeing in the movies, just in a cartoon version. So I don't feel like in those we're getting any new information.
Yeah.
So, all right. So let's go with the first one we watched. We watched The Acolyte.
Okay, next one.
So lots of people told us, don't bother. Just X that out of the timeline. It's terrible. It got canceled after six episodes.
And the people that did not recommend this to us are Star Wars fans.
I'm sorry, 8 episodes.
They are knowledgeable and are true Star Wars fans, and they said, forget it.
Honestly, I thought it was really entertaining. I don't know how true it is to the Star Wars story, so I could get it for those who are avid Star Wars fans, because some of the stuff seemed far-fetched in it. I did not like the witchy stuff.
Some of the stuff is really weird, like the witch stuff. And
it's really weird.
And it's really hard to see it objectively, because I am not knee deep into Star Wars lore, so I really don't know a lot, even with just episodes 1 through 6. I don't know too much of the storyline, so I tried to watch this objectively, but it's really hard to do that because Disney is notorious for inserting propaganda
things, yes,
in there, and so it
was evident in this.
They ruined it for me.
Yeah. So this definitely, with the witchiness and the spells and
the two moms can create a life.
Right. So that was clearly Disney's twist.
Yeah.
On it, and I did not like that. Other than that, it was action-packed. It kept my attention. It did. Even the weird stuff, I was like, okay, I hope this will redeem itself. I hope somehow this... but I remember saying in those couple episodes, man, this is just too weird. It's too weird even for me.
And those are the scenes that got brought up usually either on X or in political commentary where... Yep, just weird. I'm not sure what else to call it. So
I get it that that Disney bought the franchise, so now they have their liberty to add into it. But I don't know. I think with this one, they took it too far from the original idea.
It did, because this is all about Star Wars. There's a conflict with the Republic and the Separatists, and then this was a little bit out there.
Yeah.
A little too far, I think, from the main plot. And
too much drama.
I agree. Yeah. And for me, there didn't seem to be enough content in the story to even engage me from a purely entertainment level.
So he did not watch all 8 episodes with me. I did go ahead and watch all 8 episodes in one evening. Like I said, they were somewhat entertaining. True to the story, no. But what would you rate it? The episodes you saw?
3.
Okay. I was going to say 5. I would give it a 5 out of 10. He gives it a 3 out of 10. So that's The Acolyte from 2024. 8 episodes and canceled. So there will not be any more.
What was one thing that maybe stuck out to you? Something positive that stuck out.
I kind of like the story of the 2 girls. And how the one thing that they were created from the metachloride,
the witches,
chlorine,
the
metachlorians. So the girls were created by the Force, by a strong count of
mitochondria.
That meta something or other that created the girls, and it talks about it in later movies.
Oh.
How Anakin was so strong, his metachlorines or whatever were so strong that it was that he had so much of the Force in him. So that kind of rang with me. Oh, well, they talked about that in The Acolyte, and that's how the girls were created. So, I mean, that was kind of fun to hear that and then hear it later in the other movies that came before The Acolyte. I mean, that were produced before The Acolyte, but were later in the story.
Yeah, I guess I can't remember the 2 girls' names. One of them was I want to say Osha.
Yeah, Osha and
then there was Misha.
No,
it started with an M.
Shoot.
So that here and there, what I watched, the conflict between those 2.
May.
Osha
and May.
So it was. Their conflict was kind of interesting, but...
between the 2 sisters, how they were opposites.
Yeah, but still a hard 3.
Yeah. So with the sisters, one of them had a tendency to the dark side, and one of them had a tendency or a pull to the Jedi side. Yeah. So their force was strong, but in opposite directions.
Yeah, Disney did not help themselves by inserting propaganda. And I will say the same thing about some Christian films, which tend to make them kind of bland. It just lacks good storytelling.
Okay.
In some cases.
It can go either way.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was The Acolyte from 2024. Watch it at your own risk.
It's raw.
The second one is Star Wars Tales of the Jedi. This had 6 episodes.
And I was really reluctant about the series, but these were short bits of stories, less than 10 minutes long.
15 minutes each.
Okay, yeah. Mm-hmm. So I like short films, and that's perhaps around the or a median length kind of short film runtime.
Yeah, and this kind of introduced Ahsoka.
Yeah, so that was kind of cool to see a little bit of her backstory, and I like how it's broken up in little tidbits.
So it starts with her as a baby, or being born, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and then kind of her journey, I guess, to becoming a Jedi.
Yeah, and I really want to find out later on. We watched, I think, Revenge of the Sith, where Order 66 was getting executed, and a lot of the Jedi. I was wondering if that was her.
I don't think that was her, because
somebody else
pops up later.
She does pop up later.
So I don't think that was her. I think that was a different Jedi, but
because the order we decided to watch this is in chronological, so
I think we have yet to learn if it was her.
It's weird that she was killed there, if that was her, and then we see her.
I mean, they did say that all but 3 Jedis were killed, but then you see other Jedis later, so
Yeah, so far the only ones that we know of are Obi-Wan, Yoda, and, well, this other guy that just got killed. So I guess there's 2.
2 now. Well, but then Leia and Luke. We're not there yet.
We're not there yet.
In this. Okay, so Tales of the Jedi was good. It gave some extra backstory. It's animated, but...
It was animated.
But it was entertaining, and I liked Ahsoka's character in this. I like kind of the vision of her that it brought.
And it did go back and forth with several characters, so it wasn't all focused on her, but it kind of weaved in and out, and when you break up a series into short chunks like this, you're forced to tell a really good story in that small amount of time, so it was more entertaining.
Yeah.
Certainly more entertaining than The Acolyte.
All right, so what would you rate it?
6.5.
Okay. I'd probably give it, 6.5 is good. 6.5 to 7, I would say. is good for that one. So that was Tales of the Jedi miniseries.
When did that come out? 2 years ago?
2022.
Almost
and
3
it
years
has
ago?
6 episodes, and they're about 15 minutes long. So it's about an hour and a half commitment.
I was relieved to find out that they were short episodes.
Yes, they are. Okay. The next one is Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace from 1999.
I remember my band director was a big Star Wars fan, and this was I was in high school around the time, when this came out, and I remember him being let down by it, and to this day, even after having watched it, it's probably one of my least favorite, and I'm just putting 1 through 6 in that least favorite. I don't know. It's kind of cool to see Anakin as a little kid and how he was, already naturally smart, and it was interesting to see, was it when Yoda picked up on his tendencies with the Force that he could be a danger? Is that when Yoda picked up on it? Was in episode 1?
Yeah.
So that was pretty interesting. But Obi-Wan didn't see that, and neither did Qui-Gon. Qui-Gon? Qui-Gon, the one that was played by Liam Neeson, I think.
Yeah.
But Yoda saw
Qui-Gon.
Saw that. Qui-Gon, yeah. Qui-Gon.
Qui-Gon Jinn.
Qui-Gon Jinn, yeah.
Yeah,
It was
so...
cool to see the pod races. That was a neat thing that was introduced to the whole universe.
And Jar Jar Binks.
I
love Jar Jar Binks. I know so many people hate him because he's squeaky. But y'all, those of you that hate Jar Jar Binks, I hope you hate Ariana Grande's voice too, because that's right on up there with that squeak factor. But hers is like the annoying squeak factor. Jar Jar Binks, I like his character. I like his... knowing that his species, that's kind of how they talk.
Yeah.
He's right along with that. So
yeah, that's how they all talked.
Yeah. I like his character. I think it brought a lot of fun to it.
And I don't know how long this was in place or if it still is. Maybe they took it out. But before Angel Studios, it was called VidAngel. They actually had a filter. They had a Jar Jar Binks filter, I guess, if you wanted to eliminate all Jar Jar Binks lines.
Why would you do that? I like him. I like Jar Jar Binks. Yeah, so I think it's fun. I like seeing Anakin as a kid. It's weird in this, and then knowing the later movies, the interaction between him and Padme, because she's twice his age, and they in later movies, which we'll talk about.
Yeah, that's probably a pretty good estimate because he was a little kid and she was
a senator. So she had to be late teens, early 20s.
I was so confused.
And he was 10, maybe 12.
They, her and the other, she switched in and out of her senator role so many times. I got confused.
I followed it because I knew the face of her assistant.
They did a good job with the makeup.
And I kept telling them, "Oh, it's just another switch." What? Another switch? So, I enjoyed Phantom Menace. I thought it was entertaining. I would probably give it, thinking of all 9 of them, I probably give it a 7.
Maybe a 6.5 also.
All right, 6.5, and then a 7 for me. His allergies. Don't mind his allergies. He's got the snow. We have a snow apocalypse going on around here.
Yeah.
If you're not local, big snowstorms. They call it thunder snow because we had thunder and lightning with the snow
was weird.
Earlier.
It's been a really long time since we've ever seen lightning and thunder during snow.
So they say whenever there's thunder snow that there's going to be over 10 inches of snow. So we'll see what we end up with when it's all said and done tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to be done until early morning tomorrow morning. So we'll see how much we end up with. But right now we're not too worried about it. Okay, the next one is Star Wars The Clone Wars movie. Animated movie from 2008.
That's right. What did you think?
I I'm just not a huge animated fan, so it's got to be really good for me to love it. It was okay. I mean, there were some good parts to it that added to the story, but I think it was, for the most part, repeat of what we'd already seen.
I don't know if there was too much added to the storyline for me to pick up on and make the connection.
Anakin was much older, so probably teenage to early 20s by this time.
I get a kick out of the droids, although the droids' behavior is pretty consistent in all these episodes. They're just dumb.
Yes.
Roger.
They just stand there and get themselves blown to smithereens.
They're just goofy things. So I don't know. They're kind of a constant source of entertainment.
Yeah, that's true.
How silly they are.
I don't know of anything else that really stuck out to me in this one.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yoda was interesting looking.
He was.
His hair was spiky.
The characters in general, the way they drew this, have kind of a chiseled look. Everybody's got a chiseled look.
I guess that's a good way to describe it.
Just the style of drawing.
But man, some of them looked really close to the character.
Yes, they did. They did a good job with the
animation,
the resemblance there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you could tell.
Yeah,
I think the one that might have been a little bit off was Anakin. I felt like he's off. Maybe it was his haircut. I kind of
feel like he should have looked younger.
Yeah.
Because this is still early in his... He was still a Padawan. He wasn't a full Jedi.
Yeah.
So I feel like he should have looked younger.
Was he training Ahsoka in this?
Oh, I guess he did by the end. He started training Ahsoka. So he would have been a Jedi then. Because you can't train as a Padawan. So yeah, he would have been a Jedi already.
Or am I mixing it up with something else?
No, I think you're right. By the end of it, I think that was right. Yeah, so what would you rate this one?
Man, I don't know. So I feel like we haven't quite gotten to the good stuff yet. So I'm still sitting at 6.5 with these.
Okay. I probably give this one a 6. So it goes down a little bit for me.
Yeah.
All right, so that was Star Wars: The Clone Wars movie from 2008. And then, of course, we had to watch the Clone Wars series. We did only watch the pilot because there were 27 episodes of this that were 25 minutes long each. There was a lot. So that would have taken days and days and days.
I mean, I wonder how many... They must have a whole Star Wars department where they just I don't know, they got a bunch of writers that assign these tasks. Make a spin-off off of this, make a spin-off off of that. And
that's what it felt like, was just a spin-off.
And some of it is engaging, some of it's not.
I don't think for me it added to the story. We watched the first 5 episodes, but we really only paid attention for the very first one. And we had them kind of playing in the background as we were doing other things.
Because the pilot, I mean, that is where you're supposed to get your audience
to engage
hooked.
Your audience. Yeah.
Give them a reason to watch the rest.
I don't feel like they did that with this one. I feel like it missed the mark.
And if I can't recall anything to talk about, it's probably going to get a 6.
It did not make an impression.
I give it a 6.
I give it a 5.
I don't have anything to say.
So I go down even more on that one. So that was the Clone Wars series. From what was it? 2003.
I think the entertainment was just not there.
Yeah.
The story was not there. I wish I could say something, be more constructive about that comment, but yeah, it didn't quite. It wasn't exciting enough for me to pay attention.
We missed Attack of the Clones. That didn't get put on here.
Was that episode 2?
So that was before... That should have been... We should have talked about that before Clone Wars film. That was when Attack of the Clones... Okay, so episode 2, Attack of the Clones, we did watch before Clone Wars movie. So that one was from 2002. And that one had Anakin older. So I guess that makes sense then that the Clone Wars showed him older. This is where he was. Remember, we kept saying, man, he's so cheesy.
Well,
the things he says to Padme.
Creeper.
Yeah, really just, are you really that young and naive? Or are you just a creeper?
The thing that caught my eye before we hit play, you had the title, and then, Attack of the Clones, and then a little summary at the bottom that says, Anakin and Padme's, love affair or something like that. I'm thinking,
that's not
what
really
kind of
supposed
summary?
to be the main point of the movie.
The description and the title don't really jive, and that's kind of the theme of this whole movie. Are the creeper moments with Anakin and Padme.
I mean, you see some of the good fighting mixed into that, and the missions that he's sent on, and he's separated from her, and all this kind of stuff. But
did Yoda fight anybody in this one? Or was that episode 1?
I think you're thinking of episode 3.
3 Yoda. Whichever one. I'm getting all these mixed up, but whichever
we watched
one,
a lot in a short amount of time.
Where I'm thinking of 3, where Yoda fought Dooku.
Yeah, we're not there yet.
Yeah.
So this one really was all about Anakin and Padme's relationship. And
the Attack of the Clones plot was lost on me, and all I can recall are...
We are now talking about episode 2, Attack of the Clones.
Yep.
All about Padme and Anakin's love affair, or weirdness, anyway.
And between Obi-Wan and Anakin, there seems to be a little bit more, I don't know, obedience, or a little bit more. He listens a little bit more, but he's still at the very edge of that.
He still questions everything.
He still wants to be himself, and
very, very strong-willed, which is not typical for somebody that is a true Jedi at heart.
Yeah.
They are selfless. And he even says that in this movie, that a true Jedi is selfless.
Yeah.
They don't think about themselves. They don't consider themselves. Where the dark side is all about yourself. And that's one thing that he said in this movie.
And after getting to know these characters through what we've seen so far, learning about these different Jedi, I'm really a big fan of Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Seems to have a good head on his shoulders, and
even with all the adversity and all of the things that happen, he stays strong, and he stays devoted.
Adheres to his principles.
Yeah.
To the principles of the Jedi.
Yeah. I mean, Yoda is obviously the key Jedi as far as that goes. It seems like all the other Jedi look up to Yoda, and so Yoda was kind of counseling Obi-Wan throughout this time and warning him strategically about Anakin and his fear of Anakin's future. So I think that was a smart move for Yoda to kind of slip these little things in that he sees, because he's really, really a wise Jedi, and he could sense things that it seems like the others were blind to. So I really like that Yoda kind of slipped in these gentle reminders to Obi-Wan that Anakin maybe wasn't where he thought he was. So I liked that that little plug in here that you see from Yoda. Bless you. So let's see. The robots are in this a little more. So R2D2 and C3PO are in this, and they are kind of alongside Padme for the most part, I think, with this.
Yeah,
in
I
this
think so.
one. And they pretty much stay with her through her demise.
Yeah. Wait, are we still episode 2?
We're still episode 2, so you don't know
Okay.
about that yet. We don't know about that yet. Episode 2. So this is kind of where things are just getting kindled between Anakin and...
I'm having trouble remembering how episode 2 ended. You remember?
It's all kind of blending together.
The closing scene? Was it still just Anakin and Padme stuff?
I think so, yeah. I think it showed them kind of...
Oh, did they get married?
I don't remember if
No,
they
that
got,
was secret. That was.
I think that was the third one. They get married in the beginning of the third one. In this one, I think they're just kind of showing that they've got
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
thoughts for each other.
Yeah.
In this one,
it all blends in.
Yeah.
It's like Thanksgiving dinner. It all just blends together.
So, what would you rate episode 2?
Anakin is like Commodus from Gladiator and is the most annoying, whiny character.
Annoying.
He's up there with Daniel LaRusso of most annoying characters. Just whine. I rated it a 6.5.
Oh, man. Okay. Yeah, it's not my favorite. It's probably actually my least favorite Star Wars episode. I give it a 6.
Phantom Menace was a little bit more entertaining because Anakin as a kid,
there was more fighting.
You
and
fight
I liked
Anakin.
The pod
races kinda cool.
And yeah, it was definitely more entertaining.
6. I rated 6.
Yeah.
I think I gave Phantom Menace a 6.5. So
okay. All right. So now we can go down to Star Wars Episode 3.
Yeah.
Revenge of the Sith.
This is like Return of the Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. Everything goes down.
What year was that? That was 2005. So Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, 2005. So this is the beginning of this one is where Padme and Anakin get married. Padme gets pregnant. And after he goes out on mission and comes back, she tells him he's excited, but he's kind of feeling the dark side.
He's being heavily influenced by Palpatine.
Yes,
which,
Senator Palpatine.
You know,
who we find out is the Sith Lord.
My relaxed brain didn't pick up. I'm thinking, why does he look like the guy in the hood? Oh,
because he is.
That is the guy.
Yes.
He changes his voice.
It doesn't, though. His voice is the same, and I hear it all the way through. The first time I hear his annoying voice, I was like, ooh, that's the Sith Lord.
Of Palpatine?
Yeah, and then I look up, I'm like, whoa, that's Palpatine.
Yeah. So yeah, and you learn that this guy is, I don't know, he's almost like the Antichrist, is able to get everybody sided with him, and he's able to influence.
He's using the dark side of the
people.
Force.
Yeah.
Mind control.
Yeah. And the way that he's able to...
And he's good at it.
Get under, really, what's the word I'm trying to... influence, I guess. Anakin?
Yeah.
And say that he's able to save Padme from her death because... or did he explicitly say something like she was going to die? Or did...
He had a dream. So he dreamt that she was going to die in childbirth. So that kind of just buried him in grief and guilt right away, and he just
Palpatine planted the seed that he could help him.
He says, "You come to the dark side, and you can stop death. You can cheat death or something." And but then as soon as Anakin pledges himself to the dark side, Palpatine or the Sith Lord says, "Only one person has been able to do it." So you have to be very strong. You have to be stronger than... So it's like, okay, so he told him lies to get him to come to the... Well, and, that's what the dark side does.
Yeah.
Convinces you with their evil schemes, and then you find out that it's not going to pan out the way that the lies were portrayed to you. So.
And, the Jedi Council were being pretty cautious, and they wanted Anakin to distance himself from Palpatine, from the Chancellor, because they were picking up on.
Yep, and Palpatine kept telling him, "No, it's the Council that's wrong. It's the Council that's bad. They're trying to overthrow the Republic." And so he was feeding lies, and of course he was destined for the dark side. So he fell for the lies.
Yeah, so I found this one the most entertaining because there are a lot of things happening. There's a lot of things that are about to go down.
Yes.
And it comes to a pretty climactic ending.
Yeah, where he loses limbs and burns and almost to death.
But then, Order 66 is thrown out there, and then all the stormtroopers are, executing Jedi.
Well, and Anakin was part of that. He went in and killed a whole school full of younglings.
Yeah. Mace Windu was the first one to realize that Palpatine was the Sith Lord, so they had the one-on-one there. And then that's how Palpatine got wrinkly.
Yeah, and Anakin was responsible for the death of the head of the council. He interfered and stepped in when the head of the council was going to kill Palpatine. And he stopped him. And then Palpatine took over and threw him out the window. Remember?
Yeah, that's Mace. Yeah, that's Mace Windu. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was it. That set everything. Set everything in stone.
So, of course, Anakin thinks he's in the right and what they're doing is in the right. He goes back and tells Padme, and Padme says, I don't know you. You are not the one that I...
Yeah, and good on her and good on Obi-Wan.
Don't try it, Anakin backflip.
Yeah.
And then his legs get chopped off.
Good on Obi-Wan and Anakin or Padme to... I don't know. Try to
stay with what was right and true, and
try to convince Anakin. But yep, that was that. And I've heard when Obi-Wan said the Sith never deal in absolutes. I'm not sure what that means. Is it the way they speak?
No, the Sith always deal in absolutes.
Oh, is it the Jedi never deal in absolutes?
The Jedi never deal in absolutes. So
what does that mean? What did that refer to?
Well, I try to think of the line that Anakin said.
Yeah, I can't remember what he said because he said it right after that.
But he said, "If you're not for me, you're against me."
Oh.
He said, "Only the Sith."
Make things in black and white, I guess. Is that what
talk in absolutes?
Okay.
Like, if you're not for me, you're against me. Well, that's an absolute.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Only the Sith deals in that. The Jedi know that there's things that can influence. There's things that can change. There's structure, and there's no absolutes necessarily. It's a flow. There's a flow to life. Yeah, things can change on a dime, and
so the final fight was really cool. That's why one of the huge reasons why people like Star Wars was the lightsaber fights.
The creation of Darth Vader. Yeah, this is where Yoda walks in with his cane and then jumps around and kicks some major butt. And
who did he fight?
He fought Dooku.
He fought Dooku?
Dooku.
Yeah. Was this where he enters the room and then he just force pushes the guards out of the way and knocks them out?
Yeah.
That was Dooku?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because...
He kills him. He gets killed.
He fought Palpatine too, and then Yoda had to leave because he failed. Yeah, they got into a duel in the I don't know, you call it a chamber where all the senators met,
house.
And Palpatine was throwing all the chairs at him.
Yeah. Yep. So a lot of good fights, a lot of good battles. A lot of good story in this one. Like I said, the creation of Lord Vader. So you see kind of the reason for his outfit. And
his will to live after being cut in half and
burned. I mean, pretty much to nothing.
And the dark side, I guess, kept him alive.
Kept him going, yeah.
And I thought that was interesting that he was still devastated when he realized that he had hurt or killed Padme.
That he was the reason Padme died, yeah.
And he goes, no! That was kind of funny. Kind of a weird scene.
It was kind of, yeah. I mean, but true to Anakin's style.
It was weird, yeah. It doesn't quite seem full-on Darth Vader yet, because Vader's, we'll see more about him in the original 3.
Yes. So I'd say that this is probably one of my favorites.
It's a good one.
Episode 3.
To me, this is like Return of the King of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff happens.
So I probably give this an 8 out of 10.
8 1/4.
What?
8 1/4.
You would have to be difficult. 8 1/4. Okay, so that was episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. Next is another animated, The Bad Batch. We watched the first few episodes of this.
Really, the first one. And then
it was kind of like the Clone Wars one. We're like, meh, this is not great. And it was completely different characters. The one thing we did like about it was that it was it showed the 66, the
Order 66.
Order 66, and it showed the other Jedis. So it showed different Jedis from other
stormtroopers.
Yes.
Yeah.
But other Jedis and how they're fighting for survival with this order in place.
Yeah. And these guys were not part of Order 66, so they were kind of the...
Yeah, there was kind of a rogue bunch.
I don't know what
of 5 of them.
They were the good guys.
Yeah, they were good,
the good
but
guys.
they looked weird. They looked like cyborgs, I guess, and...
They were a little bit different when they took their helmets off. And they acted... Yeah, maybe... Guerrilla warfare was their specialty, I guess.
So, another spin-off of the original story. So showing some different sets of Jedi and some different rogue people that were on the side of the Jedi, kind of helping them to survive.
So I think that was the only thing that I appreciated out of the pilot, was to see what was happening on the ground from the other stormtroopers' perspective.
Yeah. And
the Jedi that they were taking orders from. I forget who was in there, but
I
can't remember.
It was a girl that had piercings and.
Oh, okay.
I forget, but she was training a Padawan, and she got killed, and he ran off, and and it shows, so different Jedi than what you hear about in the originals. So.
Not enough good story to engage.
Yeah, not enough backstory, I guess, and how they connect to the rest of the series. I think.
Yeah,
and maybe we would have gotten that if we would have watched on.
Nope, pilot's supposed to do that. They didn't do it for me.
Well, true.
Needs to be interesting.
But this one had 47 episodes, 25 to 27 minutes long each.
Yeah, money to blow.
So that would have been weeks of us trying to get through that, and we don't have time. I start back to work probably Tuesday, so I will not even get through one movie in an evening if I get through any. It'll be what we can throw into a weekend, probably.
Yeah.
So it's going to be tough for us. We won't get through this many, probably the rest of the month, each week. So.
If should I try to watch some? I could always watch some, right?
No, without me.
Oh, okay.
I want to watch them.
I watch horror movies.
Ooh.
I mean, I won't talk about them.
Okay. All right. So, what do you rate Bad Batch?
I'll say 6 3/4 because it was a little bit interesting to see somebody else's perspective during the timeline that overlaps Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah. So I probably give it a 6. I'll give it a 6.
There you go.
And like we said, we only watched the first couple episodes, so we can't give a true review of the whole series. Maybe it got better. I don't know, but too much of it for us to be able to get through. The next one we watched, and we actually finished it today, so it's probably the freshest in our mind, is Solo, a Star Wars story from 2018. So this was kind of about the beginning of Han Solo.
And you know what? When he was trying to leave Corellia, wherever he came from,
mm-hmm.
he told the administrative person, his first name, and then last name. He didn't give a last name. I guess he didn't have one. He didn't have any family, and then so the worker said Solo. So that's where the last name came from,
which means alone.
Yeah. So that was kind of interesting to learn that, it's not a family name. He was given that name by just a clerk.
Yeah.
But I think this is actually a really exciting spinoff, I thought.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Because we know from the original 3 Star Wars, 4, 5, and 6... It's still weird to me that
just thinking the original is in the middle. 6. Yeah,
But we knew Han Solo, played by Harrison Ford, was an arrogant guy with an attitude, and they extrapolated that enough with a younger Han Solo to have a little bit more arrogance.
And I would say the character they picked resemble
did
him.
a really good job.
Somewhat. I mean, not completely. Obviously, you can't completely resemble him, but
Yeah.
I think they did a pretty good job of who they picked.
Totally exciting. And, he had a relationship with this girl, so that seemed to be, his love, I guess.
Yeah.
And so that didn't seem to be the primary part of the plot, but there was enough in there that made the story pretty interesting.
And they gave a snapshot of her tattoo of the Death Star, so you kind of knew that she had already sold out to the dark side kind of early in, before it really showed that they had a lot of feelings for each other. So.
I didn't see that coming either. I was kind of rooting for those two because I don't know, it seemed like a connection that was meant to be. But
No, I kind of had a feeling after seeing her tattoo. I kind of had a feeling that things were not going to go towards Solo's mission. It was going to kind of go and veer away.
Yeah.
It was sad though, and she goes and sails off, and he's just kind of left standing there with Chewie.
That's the second
and Chewie
time.
puts his hand on his shoulder. And
That's the second time that he watched something go away from him, because remember when they were refining that stuff that they were trying to get, and then Lando just left in the Millennium Falcon.
He says, "We've got 10 guys or 30 guys standing armed, ready to take you out." And then Lando leaves. And you're like, okay, well, you just blew his plan out of the water.
And then he watched Kira, I guess that's her name. Kira.
Yeah, Kira.
Watched Kira leave, and we see the character Lando introduced.
Yeah.
I forget the actor. I think he was played by, in the original movies, played by, I want to say Billy Jean something. Billy Dean something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's cool to see we learned that the Millennium Falcon was not originally Han Solo's, but it was Lando's.
Yeah.
And he won it by gambling.
Yep. Yeah.
So it was cool to see the interaction between those guys.
Yeah, that relationship build.
And that we learn that he's a really good pilot, and we see the beginning of or how the relationship began with
Hans
Chewie.
and Chewie,
Chewie, yeah.
with them being prisoners together and hating each other at first, and then
it's full of good stuff.
Yeah, it's a good backstory on Hans. I think they did a good job introing the character and giving some background detail to make it even sweeter for episode 4.
And then you see how you learn how he gets involved with the business that he does.
Yeah,
he takes advantage of the skills of that. He's an excellent pilot, a really good pilot, and he acquired the fastest ship known in existence.
Yeah,
and writing matters. And we were watching the credits, and you see that it was directed by Ron Howard. And not that I can name off any of his other films, but I know that his other films are great. So it made sense why this was, I thought, a fantastic movie.
It was very good.
I liked it a lot.
So what would you rate this?
8.
Okay.
And a half. 8.5.
I'll give this one an 8 also. I thought it was very entertaining and well done.
Out of the ones that we've talked about so far, this has some rewatchability, and so does Revenge of the Sith.
Yes, for sure. You said who wrote this, and that's why it was so good.
Ron Howard.
Ron Howard. Okay.
Directed by?
Directed.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's the guy from Happy Days. I'm pretty sure that's the same guy. That's good.
Yeah, and Woody Harrelson's in this one.
Yes.
So that's kind of fun to see him in this role. Of course, he's the sneaky, two-timer in this one, which is a good role for him. I think he plays it well.
He's good in all the roles that he plays.
Yes.
And, you learn that they talk about a gangster, and I think the gangster that he's talking about might be Jabba. Jabba the Hutt towards the end of the movie.
Yeah. We saw Jabba in one of the other episodes.
One of the other ones, yeah, because they had to rescue
his son.
Jabba's son, yeah.
Yeah. So that was the intro we get of him. And he's actually standing and walking in this. Like later in episode 4, doesn't really get up and walk. He's more of just kind of a fat, lazy thing.
Jabba?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you kind of see a different vision of him.
Yeah.
later. But
So yeah, really, really exciting movie.
all right, so that was Solo, a Star Wars story from 2018.
Let's see.
So that is all that we have for you today. That was a lot. We got through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 out of 30 in our very first week. So I say we did pretty good. I mean, 30, that means we got to watch one a day if we get through them all. So we may not get through them all because with my work schedule, it's going to make it hard. But we will do our absolute best to get in as many as we can on the weekends and try to get lots reviewed for you. But lots of them that we watched this week, we would recommend that you go and see. Definitely episode 2, Attack of the Clone. Well, no, not episode 2. It was episode 3. Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, was top notch for us, as well as Han Solo, the Solo one. So those 2 would be our top recommendations for the 9 that we watched.
Yeah, absolutely.
This week. All right. So definitely jump on to our Tuesday movie review.
Which is our 100th episode.
Which is our 100th episode. So you got to... Bless you. So you'll have to see what we chose. It's a iconic movie, I would say, for our 100th episode. So definitely jump on there and see what movie that was for us. And give us a watch. We would love to get a huge amount of people to get on and watch that. Just to show us support for our 100th episode. So definitely jump on that on Tuesday. It will go live at 1:45 in the afternoon. So jump on, share it with your friends. We're going to post links on our social media. So hoping that we get a really good viewership for our 100th episode. So jump on there and watch that. And then I'm not sure what we're doing for our Friday Fave. So we'll have to let you know on that one.
I know what I'm going to do. I just need to try to fit it in somewhere to
Okay.
get it done.
So he knows what he's doing.
It's gonna be a tag on to the last Friday Fave.
Okay, so it was a review.
Yeah, another product review.
All right, cool. So jump on that on Friday, and then of course our live again next Sunday at 9:30.
Yep.
For some more Star Wars movies.
I can't wait because if they have more good things like Solo, it's gonna be be really good.
Yeah. So jump on with us and see what we review. Let us know if you agree with our reviews, if you've watched the ones that we chose this time. If you have not, try to get them in this week and then let us know what you thought of them. So pop onto the comments of our replay and let us know your opinion on the movies that we watched this week.
Thanks for joining us, guys.
All right. Bye.